Welcome to E3 and to another session of Thinking Out Loud. I am Bente Liski and I have with me the founder of E3, Paul Mackey. Paul, welcome.
Mm-hmm. Glad to be here again.
Let's dive into another big, well-known topic.
Okay.
And it has to do with us as believers being ambassadors for Christ.
Ambassadors, yeah.
It's a huge title, and it can feel like big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
And eventually, it could even feel like I need a lot of years to learn how to fill those shoes.
Right.
So, in your eyes, what does an ambassador look like? How do they live, and what is their life?
Yeah, that's really a good question. And you're right, ambassador is a loaded word because it can sound very, very educated, very, a lot of tools in your tool belt to do this, and so the qualifications are high and the demands are high, and boy, how do we even measure up, to be that? And meanwhile, in our modern world, we have images of people who run like foreign embassies, and they're called the ambassador to such and such a country. And so there's a lot of diplomatic issues and cultural issues, and I just don't think I'm all that, right? And so it's an intriguing idea that we would use that word ambassador, except for one thing. And that's the fact that the Apostle Paul somehow confidently used it, especially in a very eye-opening passage, 2 Corinthians chapter 5. And Paul was, as it were, in the Spirit, writing about all the things that every believer, not just the special believers or the educated believers or the well-groomed believers or the privileged believers could aspire to. He was trying to create a, if you will, give me this term without performance, a checklist of here's some bare minimum things that every Christ follower should be able to accomplish. And not accomplish like in a lot of effort, but accomplish in like if you were just living your Christ-filled life properly, here is a list of things you would all be doing. That this is the level, if you will, that you would live at. And there's two things that pop out in that chapter where he's talking about how we see, how we think, how we process our life in Christ. And he says, don't you know that you are all ministers of reconciliation? So we're not talking about reconciliation, but I want to start there because that helps us understand the role of ambassador. Reconciliation, foundationally, what it's talking about is gluing back together that which is broken, or the other part of the definition is mending, like as in a net. So remember, in those days, fishing was a very modest enterprise. A lot of people fished for a living and for their own families. And so mending nets was a metaphor everybody would understand. So Paul used that metaphor in the word reconciliation. He was saying, listen, everywhere we go, there should be a gluing back together or a mending of things that were previously broken, but because we were there and we were sources of light and wisdom and love and life, now look, it's being healed. It's coming back together, okay? Now, if you'll take that image of that we are menders of nets, well, that's not like running a foreign embassy But it's certainly meeting a very basic human need when something's broken and you don't know how to fix it. And yet your friend comes along, understands their role in your life, and they can help you mend your net. They can help you reset a bone. And thus you're healed and fully functioning again. That's reconciliation. Then he goes on to call us all ambassadors for Christ. So the one is meant to help define the other. So what we represent is we represent a kingdom of healing. We represent a kingdom that puts things back together. We represent a kingdom that's not afraid of what's broken or hurting or dying or coming apart. Because this kingdom has the love and wisdom required to help it be mended and reset. So then wholeness can be the result. And so being an ambassador is not so much a position as understanding your function in life. It's not about being able to put, A.M. Paul Mackey, on a little plaque and put it on your desk. It isn't that idea at all. It's more like, as I live my life in relationship with you, your life should be more whole, more mended, more healed, because we're together than if you had never met me.
That brings up this question I have for you about being an ambassador and a witness, I guess, kind of go together, right?
Yeah.
We have this term, you've phrased this term through E3 that says, you're only looking for those who are looking for you.
Yes.
Where the traditional thought of an ambassador is a missionary. You go out and you go and be an ambassador and then you come back home again. Or you go to Sunday service and then you go out in the week and you're an ambassador and then you come back home again.
Yeah.
So this puts a different spin on that.
Yeah, yes it does. When we take the assignment and we cast it as a requirement, or I'm going to tread lightly here, but I want to use the word ministry. When we make it a ministry, unfortunately, what was meant to be something that shaped how I live now informs how I perform. Then we've missed the intent of what Paul was trying to say there in terms of ambassador. Even the word witness. The word witness was never meant to be something that I memorize and then I make myself get out there and I see you at the bus stop, and whether you're even paying attention to me or not, I somehow force a conversation so I can witness to you and tell you about Jesus and how much you need him. Okay, that whole paradigm was never what Jesus intended for the word witness. The word witness was actually more like, in a courtroom, if I had witnessed something that they needed to know, well, what actually happened, I could say, I was there, here's what I saw and experienced. That's the word witness. And you see, that requires a question from you, not me mandating a message upon you. And so I'm going to say that I think we've actually tried to move the kingdom illegally by forcing ourselves on people, when we should have just been looking for those who are asking questions of us. Because a question then is an opening, oh, well, you would like to know about that? Yes, I would. Okay, here's what I've experienced. Here's who I met. Here's what changed my life. That's what happened. And I let you drive how much you want to know. And that, you see, is me only looking for those who are looking for me. And decidedly, it's a better way to be an ambassador, because I'm never forcing anybody's faith or religion or mantra on someone. I'm only representing it. And when you're ready, you'll ask me, so what is it you do anyway? Who are you? Why do you live that way? And the question is the door open.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it has rattled some thoughts, some traditions,
Yes.
and thank you for that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Actually, I hope it brings clarity to the process. We have actually made it harder to share Christ in our world, not easier. And we need to get back to authentic and relationship.
That's a good word. Thank you for that, Paul.
Yes. Thank you.